Welcome back to the New York Empire online training series. In this video, we'll address throwing and pitching. We'll go through some of our favorite throwing drills, and let's stop right there. If you've heard any of the following things, stop and ask some questions because they may not be accurate. If you've heard, point to where you throw, turn the ball back and show it to the second baseman or the center fielder, throw over the top, foot to the sky, stop at a balance point, finish ready to field a baseball. Again, stop and ask why. None of those things have any basis in reality. They're anecdotal, they've been taught for years by probably some well-intentioned coaches, but scientifically, mechanically, biomechanically, in terms of throwing harder and healthier and more accurately, none of those things are real. Instead, let's jump right into some science-proven ways to throw. Things that are generated by your body rather than by the anecdotes of what people thought they were doing or what maybe you see in a still photo of some of your favorite players. We'll begin with the scap throw. It's the most basic movement we've got to begin teaching the throw. When we take the ball out of our glove, we'll pull our elbow back behind our back. Almost some people have referred to it as a bow and arrow. I'm not sure how many of you shot a bow and arrow, so I won't use that analogy today, but I'll pull that scap back, right? I'm almost pinching my shoulder blades together. So I take the ball out and I pull the elbow back behind me, right? I'm not using an arm swing or a ball swing or show the ball back or create an arm circle. None of those things are real. Instead, I take the ball out and I pull the elbow back behind me and I load that scapula, or what we call the scap, right? From there, you'll see my front arm actually comes across my body but doesn't point to the target. If you've ever seen any of your favorite baseball players throw a baseball, they weren't pointing to a target. Instead, I pull that throwing arm scap back and you see the elbow poke out from behind there, and the glove arm actually reaches out across my body and closes my shoulders. That'll aid in how hard I throw. From there, when it comes time to throw, I spin my hips, pull the glove arm in rapidly. You can think about pulling your elbow to your hip, and what that does is allow my shoulders to spin or cause my shoulders to spin, and the faster they're moving, the faster my arm will be moving, and the faster I'll throw a baseball. I'd like the big muscles in my body to do the work, not the small ones. Again, the scap throws, and you can do this with a baseball or with a towel. If you're using a towel, feel free to do as many reps as you can until you get tired. With a baseball, you'll want to take a few days off after each. Maybe as soon as you don't feel tired anymore, go out and do it again. So allow your body to recover. If you throw on Monday and you go through this throwing program, don't do it again on Tuesday. Allow a day for recovery, jump right back in on Wednesday if your arm no longer feels tired. If you experience any pain in anything you do, stop, reach out to a parent or a coach, one of our instructors, and we'll be happy to help. So again, the scap throw. Again, do it with throwing or with a towel. From there, a bit more advanced movement, the pivot pickoff. I'm actually throwing perpendicular to the direction in which I'm facing. So if I'm facing this way, I'm throwing that way. If I'm facing this way, I'm throwing right at you. Going to turn my shoulders back and pull that elbow back into scap load again, and the arm across my body just slightly. And again, I'm throwing perpendicular there. I'm really generating a tremendous amount of power from that shoulder rotation, also building strength in my forearm complex. And why do I want to do that? Because the muscles in your forearm are there to protect your elbow when you're throwing. That's a pivot pickoff. Be careful not to spin your body this way and then spin it around that way. We really want to generate as much as we can from that torso rotation and that scap load. So it's here, and again, you can do it holding or using a towel or going ahead and throwing the baseball. From there, I'm going to go right into our step backs. This is going to help me really get a sense of loading my back hip when I throw. And remember earlier I said you don't lift your leg and stop at a balance point when you throw. Well, it's just going to rob you of the energy that you can create. You'll throw less hard, and you'll be relying on your arm for the energy you want to create to throw the baseball hard. Not not a good plan. Not only won't you throw as hard as you'd like, but you'll also be putting a whole lot more strain on your upper body, shoulder, elbow, things that can break a little more easily. What I'm going to do for the step back, it's not really a jump back where I fall, just going to drop back into my back leg and then deliver the baseball moving forward. I'll have my back to the camera so you can see the shift in weight and what my feet are doing throughout the work. I can also do this with a towel instead of a baseball. And this one I'll throw in this direction so you can see it from the front and get a better view of what my lower half and my feet are doing in the step back. Remember, I'm not jumping back and falling over, simply dropping back into that back foot, getting all the weight on that back foot, propelling myself forward. One of the things you don't want to do though is lunge and lead this movement with your shoulders. So it shouldn't look like this, or instead, drop into that back foot, get the weight going to the front, rotate and throw. That's your step back. And again, you can accomplish that with a towel as well. From there, a little more advanced movement, the rocker. The rocker is really meant to allow me to learn how I can use my lower half to deliver a baseball, and also, very, very importantly, how important the front leg is in how hard I throw. You'll see, I begin about as wide as I can go comfortably. My front foot is pointing about halfway to the target. Not completely closed, not completely open, just about halfway. Going to get all of my weight onto that front leg and let my throwing arm dangle. Just gonna let it sit here. I'm gonna rock all my weight back into this back leg, scap load the backside, cross over, so I'm really bringing to bear some of the things I learned earlier in my drills. Drop 100% of my weight into the back leg, and notice I don't fall backwards onto the outside of my foot. Remember, not swinging my arm back with the ball here. A simple scap load, deliver the baseball. And if you notice, this front leg doesn't collapse. I'm as firm as I can be as I deliver the baseball. That's my rocker. From there, some interesting pitching drills. The roll-in. I'm going to focus on using my upper body while also gaining momentum from my lower body. I'll take about 4 steps walking forward, but I'll keep my hips moving forward as I do this. Scap load, pulling those shoulders back, come across my body, and deliver the baseball while moving forward. Again, this can be accomplished with a baseball or with a towel. The roll-in. From there, one of our favorites, the drop step. This really gets a player focused on the hip turn and how important it is to delay the shoulders and really rotate their core to deliver this baseball hard. I'll start with my back to the target. My first step will be with my dominant foot dropping backwards. It's not a huge step, but I do gain a bit of ground. From there, I begin to rotate my hips open all the way to the target. Scap load, I pull back just like I learned earlier today, and then I deliver the baseball. Again, can we do this without a baseball? We sure can. You can use a towel to simulate. Finally, our walking windup. We're going to pull everything together by walking forward, getting into the windup, and delivering a baseball. Notice it's a bit different than being on a mound, because on a mound, you can't simply walk on and do it. So for the reality of this drill, you'll take 4 steps, not just 2. It'll be right, right, leg lift and throw. Go ahead and do that, pulling all the things together that you learned earlier today. Finally, last exercise, it's our Hershiser drill. And I'll go ahead and do it right up against this. You'll want to find a soft place to do it, so maybe prop up a pillow against a wall or a couch cushion. I'm going to get just about 2 of my own feet away from the wall, rotate on my back heel, get set up like I'm going to pitch, and the goal of this drill is to understand how I drive those hips home when I deliver the baseball, right? I don't leg lift and stop at a balance point. That's robbing me of all of the energy that I can possibly create to deliver the baseball in my lower half. I don't want to do that, right? Stopping at a balance point is an awful fallacy that's taught over and over and over by, well, hopefully well-intended coaches. Again, 2 of my own feet away from the wall, rotate on my heel, get set up like I'm going to pitch, and all I'm going to do is lift this knee and press my hip right up against the wall, right? I don't want to lift the knee and tilt in with a shoulder, or lift the leg and touch with my leg and tilt backwards. Just going to lift up and press my hip right up against the wall. I'm gonna hold it there. I'm gonna do that over and over because the reality is that's going to be the beginning of my pitching delivery. I'm gonna lift this leg and lead with that hip and give the ground a good push. Or those of you who have heard that you push off the rubber, well, no reality to that either. The rubber is not something that's in contact with your foot for very long in the pitching delivery. So this leg lifts, the hips go home, and we pull up together all the things we've learned in these pitching drills.